When Igor stepped out of his black SUV and looked around the dying village, his face twisted with disgust. Impassable mud, houses leaning like drunkards, everything looked abandoned, extinct. As he mentally calculated who might benefit from the land where his mother's house stood, he suddenly noticed movement. On the porch of the neighboring house stood a girl, Ritka, his former classmate. Rubber boots, a faded polka-dot dress, a headscarf. She held a bucket in her hands and smiled, waving at him like an old friend. Igor froze for a second. He hadn't expected to see anyone alive here. Who would choose to live in this God-forsaken hole? And yet, there she was, alive, fresh, firm. A high chest, sun-kissed skin, such a naive, open smile. He looked at her the way one might look at a purebred horse unexpectedly found in a wasteland. City women were all the same, puffed lips, glued-on lashes. "And this," he muttered. "You live here?" he asked. "Where else?" she replied, easily, without flirtation. "Want to come over?" He grimaced. "You live alone?" "My father's here, too." "Oh," he drawled, then added mockingly, "He's a hunter, right? Might shoot me." Ritka sighed and shook her head. "He won't. He's blind." But Igor wasn't listening anymore. He was watching her with growing interest, already savoring what he would do. Show her to his billionaire friends at the club, for laughs, for contrast, for the game. "Come to the city with me. There's a place, a closed club, very elite. You could make some money there. Your look is rare, natural. That's valuable now." She blushed a little, not fully understanding, and shrugged. "Well, earning some money wouldn't hurt. We need firewood. The pensions are tiny. Winter will be cold. I'm alone here, taking care of everyone. My father, Valentina Petrovna, Uncle Petya, everyone's sick, and money keeps running out." He nodded, smirked. "Exactly. I know where to get some cash." "What?" She didn't understand. "Money. Dough," he said irritably. She looked at him, then turned and suddenly leaned into the house, shouting, "Dad, I'm going to the city with Igor." Before the club, Igor took her to a fashionable boutique. She stopped at the entrance, nervously twisting the hem of her dress, whispering that it wasn't for her, that dressing up like this was silly. Rolling his eyes, he snapped, "They won't let you in dressed like that. This is an elite club, Margot. You need stylish clothes if you want to get inside." She looked at him, then at the saleswoman with a forced smile, and silently went into the fitting room. When she put on a simple dark green dress made of soft fabric that hugged her figure, she stared at herself in the mirror for a long time, as if seeing herself for the first time, then nodded quietly. For her, it was a sign of respect for the place she was entering. For Igor, an investment. He paid without blinking, certain the evening would more than pay off. The Citadel Club greeted Ritka with the scent of expensive tobacco, the rustle of silk dresses, crystal glitter, and puzzled glances sliding over her like searchlights. Here, everything was emphasized: luxury, power, cynicism. Igor introduced her. Margot, an old acquaintance, a real village girl, no filters. She noticed how men in expensive suits exchanged looks. "Real, huh? That's rare," someone smirked. "I bet 10 grand she leaves with me tonight," said another, not even whispering. She stood frozen in the middle of the hall, then, gathering herself, walked to a table with fruit, many of whose names she'd never even heard. Men smoked cigars, spoke quietly. Someone laughed, syrupy sweet. One of them, especially smug, stepped closer. Leaning over the table, he said, "So, little girl, want to taste real life? One night and you'll forget your chicken coops." She looked at him, not quite understanding. Another man separated from the group, casting a contemptuous glance at the first. "Sweetheart, want to feel like a woman? Don't listen to this poor guy. I've got a yacht in Monaco, a helicopter, a villa.
2 hours with me, and I'll buy you a new iPhone. A third joined in, blonde with a porcelain smile. 1 evening, and I'll buy you a car. You'll go back to your hole like a normal person. Something boiled inside Ritka. Grabbing a dessert fork, she slammed it into a mango an inch from the blonde man's fingers. The fruit burst like a bomb. Juice splashed onto his pristine white sleeve. The porcelain plate cracked in two. The blonde staggered, slipped, and fell flat on the floor. Someone laughed. The men backed off. Ritka scanned the hall, looking for Igor. She was beginning to understand why he had brought her here. Not for work, not to help. She found him, walked up, and asked quietly but firmly, "So where's the job? Where do I find it?" He raised his glass and waved dismissively. "Wait, it'll find you. Just hang out. Relax. Try an oyster. You don't even know what that is." Margarita stood alone amid the lights, laughter, and crystal. Voices hummed in the smoke. She heard her name, or maybe imagined it, followed by bursts of laughter. She felt like she was in a desert, only golden sand and mirages.
Everyone here was busy with themselves. She was nobody. Her blood pounded in her ears. Then another man approached, so handsome he seemed to step off a magazine cover. Perfect features, straight posture, a billboard smile. "An excellent start to the evening," he said. "Come with me. Our gallery is fun. I'll show you something." She followed silently. When she entered the gallery on his arm, the chatter stopped instantly. The spacious room, styled like an old hunting hall, was filled only with men, young, confident, in expensive suits, eyes shining with anticipation. Their gazes were the same, hungry, as if she wasn't a guest, but a prize. Margarita didn't know yet, but she felt it. Something important, something directly involving her, was being decided here. Soon, someone said it out loud. "The rules are simple. Whoever hits the bear's mouth takes the girl." She stood by the wall. One player took a crossbow, loaded it, aimed, breathing heavily from alcohol. The bolt flew wide. Ritka snapped. "Is that how you hold it? With that grip you wouldn't hit a cow, let alone the mouth." Laughter erupted. The man bristled, but the handsome one gently took the crossbow and turned to her. "Then, Margot, would you kindly show us how it's done?" She took the weapon, walked to the stuffed bear, grabbed an apple from the table, and placed it on the bear's nose. She stepped back, aimed. The bolt whistled sharply through the air. On its way, it clipped the neck of a champagne bottle, which exploded in a hissing spray like fireworks, and then drove into the wooden panel. The apple slowly slid down the trembling shaft. The excited murmur died. Confusion, disappointment, and for some, for the first time that evening, respect. The rich men slowly left the gallery, realizing there will be no prize. Later, when the hall was almost empty, Margarita waited for Igor to take her back to the village as promised. He was nowhere to be found. A distinguished older man sat beside her, straight-backed, predator's eyes, voice smooth and dangerous like velvet stretched over a blade. Introducing himself as the club owner, he rolled her name on his tongue. "Margarita, you surprised me. I haven't met women like you in a long time. I understand you came here by accident, but perhaps fate brought you to us." He continued softly. "Our club has girls. They don't work the bar. They simply attend. They decorate the evening, accompany guests, soften the atmosphere. We pay very well. No obligations, just a smile and a bit of attention. You would fit." She frowned. "So you want me to spend evenings with rich men, walking between tables like decoration?" He chuckled quietly, without mockery. "You're perceptive, yes, but nothing crude, just presence, light, mood. A beautiful woman is always an invitation." "I'm not a lamp," she muttered, "and don't put me in a display case. I don't have firewood at home, and you're talking sparkles." The old man wasn't offended. On the contrary, Interest sparked in his eyes. "Very well," he nodded. "Let me put it differently. What if I personally would like to have such a woman beside me, not as a servant, not as a toy, but as a companion, under my protection, warm, secure. I know how to take care of people. My money solves everything." She shook her head. "You might be a strong old man, but I already have my own old people. My father's blind. Valentina Petrovna has sciatica. They're waiting for me. I cook, treat, chop wood. Without me, they won't survive. We have no shops, no transport, no doctor. I don't need a patron. I need honest work." He fell silent, then nodded, looking at her differently now, with respect. "You're flint, Margarita, the best kind of people. There aren't many of us left." He stood, stepping back slightly, giving her space. "Without tricks, your accuracy is a rare gift. This club was once a hunting lodge. The shooting range was its heart. Now it's dust and memory. Stay, I need you to revive it. You'll be the chief instructor. Salary, contracts, everything official. Want to work? Work honestly." She agreed. Finally, a worthy offer after such a heavy, empty evening. And a month later, she stood in the shooting range, wearing protective earmuffs, eyes narrowed confidently against the targets. The slide clicked, casings flew, one shot, another. Her movements were precise and calm, like someone unafraid of noise or attention, and there was plenty of attention. Those same millionaires now stood in line. Some watched, some waited to ask advice, some asked permission to shoot beside her. In the doorway appeared the same handsome man from the magazine cover. He came closer, stopped beside her, shouted something into her ear, lost in the thunder. She turned, smiled simply, easily, and raised the pistol again. And now tell me, did you enjoy this story? And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.